Big tech doesn't want to steal your passwords. They want something even worse. They want you to trust them with your passwords. Your e-banking, your payment methods, your entire digital life, synced to systems you do not control. And if you have no backup, they can lock you out tomorrow. Password managers are now everywhere, built into every browser, hidden in your operating system, and even sold as premium apps. They promise convenience, seamless syncing across all your devices, while quietly copying your most sensitive data to their cloud. But what if I told you there is a better way in respect to our freedom? What if you could sync passwords across your devices without giving up control? After losing access for months on business data, when Skype cut me off, as I mentioned on my other video, I am not gonna rely on companies that want to lock you in to store my sensitive data. This approach isn't for everyone. If you want your hand held through every step, if you prefer pretty interfaces over powerful tools, if you trust corporations with your most sensitive data, that's your choice. But if you believe that real power comes from understanding your tools, from owning your data, from being able to fix things when they break, then this is the only way that really makes sense. So I switched to something called PASS, and it's everything big tech password managers aren't. Command line based, GPG encryption, Git integration, bash completions, no cloud, no accounts, no corporate oversight, and it follows the Unix philosophy. But let me tell you why, in my opinion, this matters beyond just passwords. We have been trained to believe that convenience equals security. Click save in your browser, easy. Use an application like 1Password, convenient. Let Google, Apple, or Microsoft handle everything, seamless. But here's what they do not tell you. Every convenience is a compromise. Every free service is surveillance. And every cloud sync is data collection. And this isn't paranoia. This is digital sovereignty. When you use tools like PASS, you are not just managing passwords differently. You are making a statement about who controls your digital life. And you are saying, I will not trade my freedom for your convenience. But enough theory. I will show how to make a working setup to match the way I use it every single day. Self-hosted in a VPS, ultra secure with only command line interaction. Even though this may look complex if you are new to such an approach, and even though it requires learning command line and demands more from you than just clicking save, I invite you to watch and witness how simple it can actually become once you understand the system underneath. Before we start, the solution that I am using consists of three elements. The first is the storage. This replaces the cloud, the proprietary server, and all my passwords are just encrypted files that they are stored in a Git repository on a remote server that I control. Then we have the management. This replaces all kind of password managers, and this is a command line utility that organizes my passwords, generates new, copies them to the clipboard, and does various other operations in regards to passwords. Then we have the encryption that replaces the blind trust that we have to all the proprietary solutions. So this is like the mathematical engine that locks the files. And just to be clear, the PASS utility does not encrypt, GPG does. Also, I'm using a VPS server. You do not need a VPS that has a lot of resources. Even 1 core and 1 gig of RAM will suffice. But the thing that matters the most for me is the full disk encryption, because this way we protect our metadata that in this case could be the file names of the password files. Obviously, of course, on a VPS, if someone has access to the hypervisor, they can see actually everything. But with our solution, we need to make clear that all the data that are transmitted from our devices to the server are fully encrypted. This means that there is no decryption done on the server side. So even if someone hacks the server or somehow gets access to the Git repository or whatever, the only thing that they can see are the file names themselves and nothing else. Also, of course, instead of VPS, you can use a dedicated server or even an old laptop or a home server if you have. Personally, I'm using Hedgener, which is a company that provides VPS. They are located in Europe and they are fully GDPR compliant, and their prices are really cheap. But of course, I'm not promoting them. This is just what I use, so you can use whatever you want. So let's start. First, I'm going to copy my Hedgener password because this is exactly how I am using this pass utility in real life. I'm gonna get this prompt to enter my passphrase so the password can be decrypted and copied to the clipboard. So here are all the projects that I have for personal use and for business. I have created a project for YouTube, and we are going to create a new server now. Add server. But before we go on, I just have also to make clear, most of these companies that they sell VPS, they do not have an easy way to install a distribution with full disk encryption. So the way I do it here is different and it takes longer, but we will have what we need at the end. So first we select the cost optimized Intel architecture. The first option, this is the cheapest, €3 per month. Location somewhere in Europe, and it does not matter what else I choose. I choose just Ubuntu for now, create and buy. Okay, so the base image is installed. So now the server is ready, and now we have to reinstall it. So we are going to go to ISO images. I am going to install Debian because it's really a minimal installation, not using too much system resources. So we are going to mount this image. We are going to open the console from here. We are going to reboot. And now we can install Debian. On this screen here, we have to select guided use entire disk and set up encrypted LVM. Now the encryption passphrase, now make note this needs to be more than 20 characters, so it needs to be a really strong passphrase. For the purpose of this video, I'm gonna just enter a short one. Okay, and here also we are going to disable the graphical user interface. We do not need it for our server, and we are going to enable the SSH server as this is the way that we are going to managing these VPS. Okay, the installation is complete. We are going to go back to the dashboard here and unmount the ISO image. And now we are going to reboot. And here we're gonna boot into our system now. Every time we boot, it asks for our passphrase, so it unlocks the file system. Okay. Now it's time to configure first the server, so let's SSH into it. So in this window I have the SSH of the server. This is the local machine. We are going to generate an SSH key, if you do not have one already, of course. So we can configure the server to allow logins only with SSH keys and restrict passwords. To increase security, I strongly recommend, and this is what I'm also doing, to have a passphrase for your SSH key. Okay. Once it's generated, you will find the public key into the .ssh folder. We are going to copy it. So now normally we should be able to log in with our key. Let's try it out. Yeah. Okay. Here we are going to uncomment this line and set password authentication to no. And restart SSHD. The next step is to install a few packages, namely Git, and IP tables, Next step is to set up the firewall. What I am doing is that I have another VPS that is my own personal VPN server. I have 100% control over it, has a static IP address. I block all traffic and allow SSH connections only from my VPN IP address. So this way I add an extra layer of security, as all my traffic is first encrypted through the VPN channel. Next, of course, we have the SSH encryption. Here I have the rules, allowing only localhost. My IP address is to connect to any port, and of course all the related and established connections, and everything else we drop. Let's confirm the firewall rules. Okay. The next thing we want on the server is to create an empty Git repository. To do that, we enter this command. And it's done. So this is the path. So we are going back to our desktop and we are going to install the pass utility. Okay, it will also auto-install Git, of course. Okay, done. So if you run the command, of course, there is no password store. First, we are going to clone the empty repository from the remote server to the default directory of that pass is using. When the default directory is this one, it's .password store. You appear to have cloned an empty repository. Okay. We can verify also that everything is okay. Doing an ls, we see the .git. Okay. Now the next step is to create our GPG key, and this is done with this command GPG full generate key. We are going to use the defaults here because they are the strongest. So ECC, the curve, expire, we do not need it to expire. Is this correct? Yes. Real name, email address, comment, test. Okay. Now the system is prompting us to enter a passphrase. This is really important. I always use a very strong passphrase, more than 20 characters, because this passphrase actually protects all the passwords and all the passphrases that I have inside the password store encrypted. For the purpose of this video, of course, again, it's going to be a short one, so don't mind that. We have our GPG key ready now, and we can proceed. The next step is to initialize the password store with this command, and the extra parameter is actually the email or the identifier of your GPG key that we just created. So I have my email here. You are going to get these errors because the Git is not configured. And now let's run it again. If we just run pass now, we are going to get nothing, just because the password store is empty. So let's generate our first password. We can do that by entering pass, generate either a name, or of course, because password, so the pass utility has a folder structure, you can do something like www my website.com, for example, and then maybe your username. This is going to generate a password for you, which is really strong. It's going also to make a commit on the Git. And now if we run again the pass command, we see exactly what resides underneath. So this is like a tree structure. There is also bash completion, so if you hit tab, you see the commands, but if you enter www, then okay, I press tab and auto completes everything. Another user, another password, and now if I hit the tab a couple of times, I'm gonna see my options that I have here. And if I run like this, again, I'm gonna get a prompt to enter my passphrase. And here it is. Of course, you can also edit. The default editor here is Nano, so you can enter other information that you may like. It's really up to you what you want to have here. So the next step that we can do is actually push our changes to the remote server, and we are going to do that by just running pass git push. And as you can see, everything is now synced to the remote VPS. So now what happens, for example, if we want to just set up a new machine, or for any reason we delete something or whatever. So as you have seen before, the default directory that everything is stored is .password store under your home directory. If you do an ls, you will see everything there. So this is just plain folders and files, nothing more. And this is the power also of this solution. So let's go forward and delete entirely this directory. So now if we run pass again, it will complain. Okay, the password store is empty. Try to run the init command. Now, instead of running the init, what we are going to do, because all the information is stored into the Git repository, we are just going to clone it again. So we run the same command, git clone from our remote VPS server into the .password store. Okay, the repo is cloned. Now if we run pass again, everything works. So again, I have my password. If I want to copy to the clipboard, I can specify -C. This is going to be copied to the clipboard automatically, clear after 45 seconds. You can come to your browser or anywhere, just paste, and you have your password. And this is it. Super easy and super clean. So you can always consult the website, the documentation, the man pages. Pass have many other features. There are so many options, and there are also extensions and even extra front ends. You can use it even on Windows, your Android phone. Of course, I wouldn't recommend any of this, because the solution for this solution to be totally secure, it means that we run Linux as our operating system, so no one has access, and always we do not run some kind of extension on our browser. And this because the extensions are actually prone to vulnerabilities. There were quite a few in the past, so someone can actually attack the extension, and then all this security that we are now talking is going to be voided. So this is the most secure, I would say, in my opinion, and most straightforward way to keep your passwords organized, secure, and not use any service that you really do not control. I have also to mention that you need also to back up your GPG keys, because this is very important for setting up a new device, or if your device is stolen or have a catastrophic failure, in whatever case. There are several ways to do that. For me, the simplest way to do it is from the command line. You can run this command and direct the output to a file. You are going to get a prompt for entering the passphrase. And now you have your file, which is, as we can see, OpenPGP secret key. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.